Max Verstappen, the man who has absolutely tormented, bullied and dominated this grid, has finally been stopped. But what has he been stopped by, you may ask? His own damn car. Who would have thought?
Not me.
Let me set the scene. 4 AM and I'm absolutely slumped. I can't tell the difference between what is real and what is not. And I see smoke coming out the back of Max Verstappen's car. On my life, I thought I was dreaming. Because I just couldn't believe that this was real. That Max Verstappen, the man that I've seen dominate for so long, the man that I've seen on race starts pull 5-second leads within like one lap, the man that I've seen absolutely walk away with races, was about to DNF. And for a moment I just sat there and just thought, what? Because the only way I can explain it is it's like the main character from your favorite TV show just got killed off. And all because his right rear brake stuck on, wasn't able to cool properly, overheated, and eventually forced him out the race. But whilst we're trying to deal with the fact that Max Verstappen is not going to win this race and we're actually going to see someone else win, smooth operator Sainz starts to cook unbelievably. The man that has no appendix and was literally in hospital like 2 weeks ago was absolutely going crazy at the front. That performance had me questioning, should I take out my appendix as well? Because maybe my performances in life will improve drastically. And maybe the rest of the grid is thinking the exact same thing. Because that performance there, top class. A performance definitely worthy of the podium. And the same for his teammate Charles Leclerc, which means Ferrari got a 1-2. But one moment that almost at like 6 AM had me crying and bawling and almost brought a tear to my eye, was literally that Papa Sainz and Carlos Sainz moment. Oh my days, that was beautiful. Jumping back into the race and lap 17, Lewis Hamilton DNFs. Onboard footage shows he's driving along all nicely. Din din din, engine kaput, finish, kalas. There is no longer an engine in that Mercedes. I don't know what happened, engine failure clearly, but it wasn't looking good. So now we had both Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen out of the race. It's still like 4 AM in the morning. I'm still tired as hell. I'm still not understanding this race, and it was just a lot for my brain to compute. But to you people that say Max Verstappen spoils the races, I'll be so real with you. That race was slightly boring. After those 2 DNFs, there was just a long period of nothing. So for me, it's clear as day that Max Verstappen's slander is not justified, because he literally left the race and the rest of it was not that interesting. I don't know what it was, but I clearly believe that these cars need to be made much smaller so they can allow for nimble racing. I mean, if some of you saw the F2, that was actually a decent race. And it was a bit chaotic as well. But anyway, back to the race, and there was actually some chaos towards the end with George Russell crashing out. Now this one, I'll let you decide. Was it a George Russell skill issue? Or was it Fernando Alonso brake checking him? I don't know. From George's point of view, he was driving his normal race until heading into the corner. It seemed Fernando Alonso possibly brake tested him. Whereas Fernando Alonso puts it that he was managing an issue within the car for about 15 laps towards the end of that race. And so that is the reason why his driving style was a bit maybe unorthodox in certain areas. But either way, the FIA decided against Fernando Alonso, gave him a penalty, which meant he dropped down to P8, which meant that the man that is carrying Visa, Cash App, HSBC, Target, Walmart, Google Pay, Apple Pay, RB, Yuki Tsunoda, was bumped up to P7. Yuki Tsunoda might just be him, because back-to-back qualifying, he's qualified in the points. Okay, cool, in Saudi Arabia, he couldn't convert, but this time out in Australia, he was able to do just that. And not only that, but Yuki Tsunoda is also dominating his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, who, listen, he's the one that's gunning for that Red Bull seat, but the way Yuki is dealing with him, maybe Yuki Tsunoda should be getting that Red Bull seat, let's be real. But from one legend to a bunch of legends, and that's the boys over at Haas. Because I know Günther Steiner was there deep down in his heart, smiling for that Haas team. To be fair, probably not smiling, probably swearing, but still, he was saying some positive things, that's for sure. Because his unidentical twins, Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen, both managed points with P9 and 10 finishes. Haas have got to be happy about that. A solid performance, both in the points. What more can you ask for? But side note, those Günther Steiner interviews for the podium were beautiful. More of that, please. But speaking of podium, we obviously know that Ferrari got the 1-2, and the last man to fill up that podium was Lando Norris. But how do we feel about Oscar Piastri getting swapped when he could have potentially been on the podium at his home race with his family watching and his grandma cooking up an absolute MasterChef performance for the McLaren garage. Either way, a P3 and a P4 finish for McLaren, and it seemed like they maybe could have hung with the Ferrari boys as well, so maybe a step in the right direction. So overall, the Australian Grand Prix was eventful, but a bit boring at the same time, let's be real. But the weirdest moment has to be the Spanish national anthem, because it felt like I was cheating on the Dutch national anthem. It didn't feel right. I liked it, but I felt like I shouldn't be liking this. But it was still beautiful to see, and on top of that, the Ferrari love was in full effect at the end of that Grand Prix. Singing the Italian national anthem with pure passion and love. Then we had Carlos's radio message to Charles to tell him to come together so they could celebrate this one. And then the Carlando moment as well. I just felt like love was at an all-time high at that moment. But the Japan Grand Prix is next. Max Verstappen is definitely going to be seeking his revenge, so he's probably going to win that race by 5 minutes.